You are sitting there, staring at your phone, waiting for a message that is not coming. And the worst part is not the silence. The worst part is that you already know why. You have been here before. That person you care about, the one who pulls you in and then disappears. The one who makes you feel everything and then acts like you feel nothing. They did it again. And right now, every single cell in your body wants to react. You want to text them. You want to call them. You want to show up and demand an explanation. You want to cry or scream or say something that makes them finally understand what they are doing to you. But here is what I need you to hear before you do any of that. Whatever you are about to do right now, if it comes from pain, it will make everything worse. Not a little worse, significantly worse. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why. And more importantly, you are going to know what to actually do instead. So stay with me because this changes everything. Before we go any further, if this is speaking to you right now, drop the word calm in the comments below. We are trying to reach 2,000 subscribers and we are not even close yet. So if this kind of content helps you, hit subscribe right now. It takes 1 second and it means everything to us. Now, let us talk about what is actually happening here. When someone with an avoidant attachment style hurts you, your nervous system does not know the difference between emotional pain and physical danger. Your body treats rejection like a threat. Your heart rate goes up. Your thoughts start racing. You feel this urgent, desperate need to do something, anything, to make the discomfort stop. And the brain, trying to help you, says the fastest way to feel better is to reach out to the very person who caused the pain. Because your brain has learned that this person equals connection, and connection equals safety. So it pushes you toward them, even when going toward them is the worst possible thing you could do. This is not weakness. This is biology. But understanding it is the first step to not being controlled by it. Now, here is what makes avoidance so uniquely difficult to navigate. An avoidant person is not cruel. They are not sitting there plotting ways to hurt you. Most of the time, they are not even fully aware of what they are doing. They grew up learning that emotional closeness was unsafe. Maybe their needs were ignored. Maybe showing vulnerability led to pain or disappointment. So they built walls. And now those walls are so automatic, so deeply wired into who they are, that the moment real intimacy gets close, they pull back. Not because they do not care, but because caring feels terrifying to them. The problem is that when they pull back, the person on the other side, which is you, feels abandoned. And when you feel abandoned, your attachment system goes into overdrive. You start chasing. And the more you chase, the more they withdraw. And the more they withdraw, the more you chase. And suddenly you are both trapped in this cycle that nobody wanted, and nobody knows how to escape. Understanding this dynamic does not mean you excuse it. It does not mean you stay in something that is hurting you. But it does mean you stop making decisions from a place of reaction. Because every reactive decision you make inside this cycle pulls you deeper into it. So, what do you actually do instead? The first thing you need to do is pause before you respond to anything. I do not mean pause for 5 minutes. I mean pause long enough for your nervous system to settle. When you are in an activated emotional state, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking is essentially offline. You are running on pure instinct and pure emotion. And pure emotion, when it comes to avoidance, almost always leads you to do the thing that makes the situation worse. So before you send that text, before you pick up the phone, before you say those words that you have been rehearsing in your head, ask yourself one question. Am I doing this because it is the right thing to do? Or am I doing this because I cannot tolerate this discomfort right now? If the answer is the second one, you wait. Not forever, but you wait. Because here is the truth that nobody tells you. Your pain is valid. Your feelings are completely legitimate. But reacting to an avoidant from a place of pain almost never gets you what you actually want. It usually just gives them more evidence that closeness equals overwhelm, which makes them pull back even further. You end up feeling more powerless and more misunderstood than you did before. The pause is not passive. The pause is strategic. The pause is you choosing not to hand all of your power to someone who has already taken more than their fair share of it. Now, let us talk about something that is going to feel uncomfortable to hear. When an avoidant hurts you, the natural instinct is to focus entirely on them. What are T? Hey thinking, why did they do this? What does their silence mean? Do they even care? Well, they come back, and this obsessive focus on the other person makes complete sense because you are in pain and they seem to hold the key to stopping it. But this focus is costing you something huge. Every minute you spend analyzing their behavior is a minute you spend not attending to yourself. And here is the brutal irony. The more you abandon yourself to focus on them, the less attractive and grounded you become in their eyes and in your own eyes. You lose the very thing that drew them to you in the first place, which was your sense of self. So the second thing you need to do is redirect your attention back to you. Not in a fake way, not in a pretend to not care way. Genuinely, authentically. You ask yourself, okay, I'm in pain right now. What do I actually need? Not what do I need from them. What do I need? Full stop. Maybe you need to talk to a friend who gets it. Maybe you need to move your bee. Adi. Maybe you need to cry without trying to stop yourself. Maybe you need to sit in silence for an hour and just feel what you feel without reaching for your phone. Whatever it is, you give that to yourself first before you try to get anything from them. And something remarkable happens when you do this consistently. You start to realize that your emotional well-being is not actually dependent on what this one person does or does not do. That is not just a nice idea. That is a fundamental shift in your sense of power in this dynamic. And that shift, when it is real, changes how you show up, which changes how they experience you, which sometimes changes the entire dynamic. But even if it does not change them at all, it changes you. And you are the only one you have guaranteed control over anyway. Now, I want to get really specific because I know what you are thinking. You are thinking, okay, this all sounds good in theory, but what do I actually say to them? What do I do when they surface after days of silence like nothing happened? What do I do when they shut down in the middle of a conversation? What do I do when they say they care, but their actions say something completely different? Let us take these one at a time. When an avoidant disappears and then resurfaces like nothing happened, this is one of the most disorienting things about being in a dynamic with someone avoidant. The silence, the pull away, and then suddenly, hey, how are you? Or some casual message that gives no acknowledgement to the fact that they vanished. Your instinct might be to either play it cool and pretend you did not notice, or to immediately confront them and ask where they have been. Here is what actually works. You do not pretend it did not happen. That teaches them that disappearing has no consequence. But you also do not hit them with an emotional wall the moment they resurface, because that immediately activates their withdrawal response, and they shut down before you even get tea. Oh, say what you actually need to say. Instead, you respond warm but not over-eager. You let the conversation breathe for a moment. And then, when there is an actual opening, you say something simple, honest, and calm. Something like, I noticed we lost touch for a bit, and I want you to know that when there is silence with no explanation, it affects me. I am not looking for an argument. I just think it is important we can talk about these things. Short, direct, not accusatory, not dramatic, but honest. This is very different from I cannot believe you ignored me for a week. What is wrong with you? Even if that is how you feel inside, because the second version gives them every reason to shut down and zero reason to engage. The first version leaves the door open for an actual conversation. And then you watch what they do with that, because the answer to that tells you more than anything they could say with words. When an avoidant shuts down in the middle of a conversation, this is iating. You are trying to connect. You are trying to be honest. And suddenly it is like talking to a wall. They go cold, monosyllabic, or they physically remove themselves. And you are left there feeling invisible and desperate and more activated than before. Here is what most people do in this moment. They escalate. They raise their voice, or they cry, or they say more words trying to get through. And the avoidant shuts down even more. Here is what actually works. You stop, not in a punishing way, not as a power move. You stop because continuing to pour energy into door is not going to open it. And you say something like, it seems like this is not a good moment. Let us come back to this when we are both in a better place. And then you actually step away. This does the opposite of what they expect. They expect escalation. They are prepared for it. When you calmly step back, you remove the threat that their nervous system was responding to. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes that is actually when they come toward you, because suddenly the pressure is gone. Even if they do not come toward you immediately, you have just shown yourself and them that you are not going to dissolve into panic when things get hard. And that is incredibly important for your own sense of dignity in this situation. When their words and their actions do not match, they say they care, they say you matter, they say they want this, and then they are emotionally unavailable. They cancel plans. They are hot and cold. They are present one day and a ghost the next. This is where most people get stuck in an exhausting loop of trying to figure out what is real. Do they mean it or not? Do they feel it or not? Here is the only question that actually matters. Are their actions creating the kind of relationship I actually want to be in? Not do they have potential, not are they trying, not do I understand why they are the way they are, but are the actual lived day-to-day experiences of being with this person matching what I need and want in a relationship? If the answer is no, no amount of understanding their attachment style or being patient or adjusting yourself is going to fix that unless they are also actively working on it. This is where compassion for someone else has to be balanced with honesty about yourself. You can understand why someone is the way they are and still decide that who they are right now is not compatible with what you need. Those two things can exist at the same time. Understanding someone does not obligate you to stay in something that is hurting you. Now, here is where I want to shift gears slightly, because there is another layer to this that almost never gets talked about. A lot of people who find themselves consistently attracted to avoidant types are not doing it by accident. This is not a criticism. This is a really important observation. If you look back over your relationship history and you notice a pattern that you keep ending up with people who pee all away, who are emotionally unavailable, who make you feel like you have to earn their love, then the question worth asking is not just why are they like this? The question is, why does this feel so familiar to me? Why does this dynamic, painful as it is, feel like home? For a lot of people, the answer goes back to early experiences. If you grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent, where you had to work for attention, where connection felt uncertain, your nervous system learned to associate that uncertainty with the feeling of love. It learned that love means working for it. Love means not quite being sure. Love means that feeling of longing and relief. Longing and relief over and over. And so now as an adult, the people who give you consistent, easy, steady love can feel almost boring, while the people who are hot and cold, who make you chase, who you can never quite fully reach, they feel electric. They feel like the real thing. But that electricity is not chemistry. That electricity is your nervous system recognizing a familiar wound. And until you start to heal that, you will keep finding yourself in the same dynamic with different people. The faces change, the names change, the story is always the same. This does not make you broken. It makes you human. And recognizing it is genuinely the beginning of changing it. So, what does healing actually look like here? It starts with tolerating comfort. That sounds strange. But if you are used to uncertain love, stable love can feel uncomfortable. It can feel too easy. You can find yourself creating problems where there are none, pulling back when someone is consistently available, losing attraction to someone who is genuinely good to you. Healing looks like noticing when you do this and choosing differently. It looks like sitting with the discomfort of someone being consistently kind to you without pushing them away or assuming it is not real. It looks like practicing the belief that you are allowed to have love that does not hurt you. And that practice, that choosing differently, that is not passive. It is one of the hardest and most active things you will ever do. Now, let us come back to the immediate situation, because I do not want you to leave this video without something concrete and practical for right now. If an avoidant has hurt you today, here is your sequence. 1, do not react immediately. Give yourself a window. It can be an hour. It could be a day. It could be a few days, depending on the situation. But do not send that message or make that call from inside your most activated emotional state. 2, feel what you feel without trying to fix it immediately. Sit with the discomfort. Let yourself be sad or angry or confused without immediately reaching for something to make it stop. The only way out of the feeling is through it. 3, ask yourself what you actually need right now that you can give to yourself. Not what you need from them. What can you do for yourself in this, mom? Enter to take care of you. 4, when you do engage with them, do it from your most grounded self, not your most wounded self. Not because you should hide what you feel, but because speaking from your grounded self is what actually gets heard. Your wounded self might get a reaction, but it will not get understanding. 5, after the immediate situation is settled, get honest with yourself about the bigger picture. Is this relationship, as it actually exists right now, not as it could be in theory, giving you what you need? If the answer is no, you have a decision to make, and only you can make it. But you deserve to make it with clear eyes. 6, start paying attention to the pattern. If this dynamic is not new to you, if this feels familiar, start getting curious about why. Not to blame yourself, but to understand yourself. Because self-understanding is where genuine change begins. Here is the final thing I want to leave you with. When an avoidant hurts you, you have 2 choices about what. Here you put your energy. You can put it all into trying to change them, understand them, reach them, fix them, wait for them. Or you can put it into yourself, into your own healing, your own clarity, your own emotional development, your own life. The first choice keeps you stuck in their orbit, dependent on what they do or do not do. The second choice does not mean you walk away. It does not mean you stop caring, but it means you refuse to make someone else's emotional limitations the center of your universe. Because here is what I know for certain. The most powerful thing you can do in any dynamic, including this one, is to become so grounded in yourself, so clear about what you need, so committed to your own emotional well-being, that you stop being willing to negotiate on the things that actually matter. Not because you become cold, not because you become closed, but because you become someone who knows their own worth well enough to hold the line on it. That is what changes dynamy. CS. That is what changes relationships. And even when it does not change another person, it changes the only person whose life you actually get to live, which is yours. You deserve a love that does not require you to shrink yourself to receive it. You deserve a love where closeness does not feel like a threat to either person. You deserve a relationship where you do not have to decode every silence or question every gesture. And whether you find that with this person or somewhere else entirely, the path to it starts with you, with your choices, with your understanding, with your commitment to yourself. So the next time they hurt you, before you react, come back here. Come back to this. Come back to the version of you who knows better, because that version of you has always been there. It just sometimes needs a reminder.